On the surface, the Venetian still looks like Vegas luxury, towering, busy, unbreakable. But after an 11.3% summer visitation drop, something fundamental inside is shifting. Behind the marble, guests are lining up longer, doing more themselves, and seeing fees stack up faster than service. This is what experience collapse feels like before you even realize it's happening. So, how did the Strip's full-service icon become a test case for what really happens when value starts vanishing? June 2025 brought numbers the Strip had not seen in years. Visitor traffic fell by 11.3% compared to the same month the year before. That was over 350,000 fewer people walking through casinos, filling rooms, or booking tables. Citywide, hotel occupancy slipped to 78.7%, down more than 6 points from the previous June. Average daily rates dropped too, but not enough to offset the empty rooms. For a city built on volume, that kind of shortfall lands hard. Airlines cut flights, convention planners paused, and casino floors felt noticeably thinner, even as slot lights kept blinking. The Venetian, with its thousands of rooms and sprawling convention space, felt every missing arrival. Every seat left open at a restaurant, every empty blackjack table, every unused suite forced management to rethink what could be cut without guests noticing. The pressure was not just about a single slow summer. It was about protecting profits in a market where the old rules of endless demand no longer held. Underneath the marble and the music, a new reality set in. Fewer guests meant every dollar, every service, and every job would be scrutinized. That is when the quiet, calculated changes began to ripple through the biggest properties on the Strip. The Venetian stands out on the Strip for its sheer scale. With more than 8,500 employees on payroll, it operates like a small city, one that promises guests a version of luxury where everything is handled, nothing is left to chance, and service is always within reach. That reputation is not just built on marble floors or gondola rides. It is built on a workforce large enough to keep thousands of rooms ready, restaurants humming, and conventions running smoothly at any hour. The pressure here is not abstract. Convention planners expect flawless execution, while leisure travelers look for that seamless experience Vegas once guaranteed. When a slowdown hits, every empty ballroom or unbooked suite becomes a problem multiplied by scale. The Venetian cannot just trim quietly around the edges. Every operational tweak ripples through a web of departments, housekeeping, banquets, front desk, casino, and beyond. This is why changes at the Venetian do not just register as numbers on a balance sheet. They show up in the experience. A longer wait for a bellhop, fewer staff on the casino floor, or a convention that feels just a bit less polished. The resort's size and visibility make it the perfect lens to see how the Strip's new math plays out in real time. When a property this big starts defending its margins, the contrast between luxury branding and cost-optimized reality becomes impossible to ignore. Layoffs at the Venetian never made headlines for their size. Each round stayed under 50 jobs, just enough to avoid triggering public notice requirements, but enough to shift the gears inside a resort that runs on precision. The first cuts hit upper management and supervisors in late 2024, with more rounds in July and September 2025. Official statements called it a reorganization for agility, but on the ground, the effect was clear. With fewer layers of oversight, frontline staff found themselves stretched thin. One former supervisor said, "When the management structure is cut, those who remain have to shoulder a huge additional workload while tips for frontline staff are severely reduced." Guests started to notice longer lines at check-in, more delays for room requests, and fewer upgrades or comps offered on the spot. Housekeepers and bell staff picked up extra shifts or lost hours, depending on occupancy. The experience that once felt effortless now demanded more patience, as the resort quietly traded personal service for cost savings. This was only the first sign of the Strip's new playbook. Check-in at the Venetian isn't the same ritual it used to be. It still looks luxury, but the process now operates differently. Guests are steered toward their phones and a row of kiosks. The whole check-in routine begins before arrival. Travelers receive a prompt to check in online up to 24 hours ahead. Once a suite is ready, a text or email arrives. The next step is not a welcome from a desk agent, but a walk to a kiosk to print room keys. For many, that is the first hands-on task of the trip. The system is pitched as a convenience, but it quietly shifts the work onto the guest. Instead of a staff member answering questions or offering an upgrade, the traveler is responsible for completing each step, troubleshooting any hiccups, and managing the details. If something goes wrong, like a key that won't encode or a hold on the reservation, the fallback is still a front desk, but with fewer staff and longer waits. The digital journey is efficient for the operator, but every skipped interaction is a missed moment of hospitality. The experience feels streamlined, but only if nothing goes wrong and you are comfortable handling it all yourself. The advertised nightly rate at the Venetian is just the starting point. A 3-night stay racks up $165 in resort fees alone, $55 per night before tax, whether you use the gym, the Wi-Fi, or none of it. Add in the 13.38% room tax, and that fee climbs to nearly $187, quietly tacked onto the bill at checkout. For travelers planning a $750 weekend, the real out-the-door total jumps by hundreds, often 20 to 40% more than what first appeared in the booking window. It is the kind of math that does not hit until the elevator ride down on departure day. This is the new Strip playbook. More line items, less included, and every extra dollar squeezed from the guest, not the gaming floor. The experience feels thinner, but the bill gets heavier. If you like these Vegas insider breakdowns that separate the marketing from the math, hit subscribe. This Strip playbook is changing fast, and it is going to affect where you stay and how much you really pay. Collapse here is not about empty towers or shuttered casinos. It starts with something guests feel long before the lights go out. Trust slipping when the bill at checkout looks nothing like the promise at booking. Loyalty fades when every request takes longer, or when the personal touches that defined a trip vanish behind an app or a kiosk. Repeat visitors, once eager to add an extra night or splurge on dinner, now watch their wallets and shorten their stays. The real loss is not measured in headcount or square footage. It is the slow erosion of confidence that Vegas delivers what it sold. When guests cannot predict what they will pay or do not feel cared for, the value that built the Strip's reputation starts to unravel. That is the collapse, not in bricks or branding, but in the experience itself. Rising labor costs are putting even more pressure on the Strip's bottom line. The Venetian's new union deal promises a 32% pay boost over 5 years, a figure that makes every dollar saved through automation matter more to operators. The result is a future where apps and kiosks quietly replace people. MGM's move to cut most in-person concierge roles and reroute 80% of guest requests through an app is not a one-off. It is the model now. Expect more of the same, more self-service, more fees, and a thinner layer of personal attention, even as rates climb. The Strip's playbook is clear. Protect the margin, even if it means guests do the work. If your last Vegas trip felt more expensive and less personal, you are not imagining it. Share your experience in the comments and subscribe for the next deep dive. The Venetian is just the start. Today, Vegas luxury can look untouched, even as the guest experience quietly thins. When nightly fees of $55 outpace fresh towels and kiosks replace conversation, the Strip's value collapses long before its buildings do. The real gamble now is whether travelers notice, before their loyalty finally runs out.